Hey, how's it going? In today's video, we'll be taking a look at the various factors that led to the cancellation of one of Fox's most successful and longest running animated series, King of the Hill. This video was requested by Sad Sid, who tagged me in a post on Twitter. So let's get this video started. Cue the intro. King of the Hill was created by Mike Judge and Greg Daniels. Judge graduated from the University of California in San Diego in 1985, where he originally studied physics and earned his bachelor's in science physics. After working various temp jobs, Judge began losing interest in the mechanical engineering field. In 1989, Judge began shifting his focus to the field of animation. The interest in animation came from an animation cell display that Judge seen in a movie theater. Afterwards, Judge purchased a Bolex 16mm film camera and began creating his very own animation shorts.
Hello, I'm Inbred Jed, and these are the Little Bottom Boys. We're going to do a little song right now, but first I'd just like to say that it's really great to be here. I mean, it really is. It's real good. Good God, it's good to be here. I don't know where to begin to tell you. God damn, it's good to be here.
After months of cold calling different networks, 20th Century Fox would eventually acquire one of Judge's short films titled Office Space in 1991. The inspiration for this short film came from a temp job he had that involved advertising purchase orders and another job he had as an engineer for 3 months during the 1980s. Office Space would air on Liquid Television and Night After Night with Alan Havey. Office Space would also later air on Saturday Night Live.
There's a traditional way of coming up in comedy, like people go work as a stand-up,
right,
or they go to Saturday Night Live and they get an audition or something. Like you came up in comedy with cartooning, right?
Yeah, I mean, what I wanted to do was go into sketch comedy. I mean, but then, how do you do that?
Yeah, how do you turn that into a living?
Yeah, I mean, and you'd watch TV, and I would always, there'd be, on Johnny Carson or something, there'd be somebody from Second City TV, and they'd say, how'd you start? And I'd be waiting for the moment, well, okay, how do I do this? And it'd just be, well, so-and-so at Universal called because they were interested. And it's
yeah,
like,
right.
well,
You're like, whoa.
How do I, no one from Universal's calling me? How do,
Well, your story's great for some kid who's listening to this show who wants to get into comedy. You had a shitty little camera. What was the camera you had?
It was a Bolex 16mm for $200.
You went out and bought it, and you said, I'm going to make a film.
Yeah. It was called Office Space, which later I did the movie. That was the first one I finished, and it was like, 2 minutes long, and it was the character Milton and the stapler and the boss coming in.
And when you made the film, you even said you had to, like, just kind of try to, like, sync your voices. Because, like, 60mm film, you had to go in somewhere and record the voices, right?
Yeah. Well, I had one of those cassette
recorders.
That would run the A and B side together, so you'd get 4 tracks.
So you make this little film, and what do? Do you send it to someone?
I literally called 411, and I felt really stupid. But I'd called, New York Information. There was no internet back then. I'd just say, MTV, please, and at Comedy Central. I would get the runaround, and then I would just get a name and an address and I sent out VHS tapes.
Literally like a cold call. Like
totally, yeah.
You didn't know these people.
Knew nobody.
You didn't even know anybody's name. You just, who's the guy who's in charge at MTV?
Yeah, well, I would say, like, they had that show Liquid Television, so I'd call, and of course everyone's just, these people who answer the phone are just love being an asshole to you. Like you're just some weirdo calling.
After creating short films in his hometown Richardson, Texas, one of Judge's short films, Frog Baseball, was developed into the successful MTV series Beavis and Butthead, which also spawned the feature film. But we'll talk about Beavis and Butthead possibly in a future video.
This sucks. Yeah, it really sucks.
In 1995, Judge would link up with Greg Daniels, who previously worked on Saturday Night Live and Seinfeld early on in his career. Daniels was writing for the 5th season of The Simpsons at the time, but would soon take a leave of absence in order to help Judge pitch a new television series for Fox.
I loved Mike's script. I thought it was very original and very funny, and it had this authentic world that I hadn't seen on TV, and And Mike's writing style and his drawing style are kind of a piece, and they're really based on real life and observing great details in people. And I pretty much knew that I could fix what the executives' issues were, and that once I was done fixing them, we would have this terrific show, which was a character comedy but with realistic tone, filled with characters that you hadn't seen before.
In 1996, Judge and Daniels created a pencil pilot trailer and presented it to the Fox network executives.
Got the makings of a damn good cartoon here. I mean, you got my wife Peggy, and she's real smart. She teaches Spanish.
I sure do. Yo hablo español.
Isn't that something? And I'm real proud of my boy Bobby because he, well, 'cause he's my boy.
A bee stung my head.
Put some ice on it, son. And Luann's living with us now since the tornado.
Hello, Hollywood. Love your movies.
She'll probably be real good for ratings, the way she dresses. Of course, I got my neighbors, too. Dale, Bill, and old Boomhauer.
Hi. Howdy. Dang old TV executive thinking calling you about 1.5 million times now. Gripe about y'all every time the dang old Looney Tunes come on, y'all put on that dang old Melrose Place.
Old Boomhauer ain't right.
Meet the Hills, a sports crazy. Keep your eye on the ball.
On the what?
Music loving.
Mother of God, it's all toilet sounds.
Engine fixing.
I think you released your brake cable.
No, it didn't. Down to earth family.
Dale, you giblet head.
Introducing King of the Hill.
Please return the garage door to its factory preset down position.
Premiering January 12th on Fox.
King of the Hill first aired on January 12, 1997. The series debuted on Fox and quickly became a huge success for the network. The series' popularity led to worldwide syndication. King of the Hill had 13 seasons with a total of 259 episodes. The series was even nominated for 7 Emmy Awards and even won 2 of them. And in 2007, King of the Hill was named by Time magazine as one of the 100 greatest television shows of all times. King of the Hill revolves around the lives of Henry Hank Rutherford Hill and his family, who are based on a typical middle-class American family. Hank and his family live in the fictional city of Arlen, Texas. Hank is a propane salesman who is assistant manager for the propane company Strickland Propane. Hank has a pretty headstrong personality with old-fashioned values. Daniel states when writing the script for the initial pitch for King of the Hill, he purposely didn't change Hank that much, but instead changed the people around him in order to make Hank seem more like a Boy Scout.
I didn't really want to change Hank that much, so what I did was change everything that was around Hank. Started with Dale and turned him into a kind of right-wing conspiracy nut. Then I also added a wife that was cheating on him, really obviously, but he couldn't see it. That led to having Joseph, which was good because he was a friend for Bobby to talk to. Then also I gave Hank a really unreasonable, unnurturing dad, so that you felt that, well, at least Hank's doing better than his dad. Then I added Luann, which was basically to make more out of Hank's discomfort with sexuality. So basically all those changes kind of moderated Hank and pushed him more towards a good old boy, and that was the basic rewrite.
Hank is also shown to be a little naive. Like in the episode The Sun Also Roses, it's the episode where him and Bobby enter a rose competition. Hank assumed the shop he entered was just a regular flower shop, and the bond that they used for the competition was just a fancy vase. Or in the episode High Anxiety, he assumed that the joint that he was given was a fancy cigarette.
So does your wife party too?
Party? We throw a party for 4th of July and Labor Day.
No, I mean party. You know, get high, get stoned.
Other major characters of this show includes Hank's wife, Peggy Hill, voiced by Kathy Najimy.
Peggy?
Their son, Bobby Hill, voiced by Pamela Adlon. Peggy's niece, Luann Platter, and her husband, Lucky, voiced by the late Brittany Murphy and Tom Petty. And Hank's friends, the conspiracy theorist Dale Gribble, voiced by Johnny Hartwick. Bill Dotree, voiced by Stephen Root.
I wish I had a son to kick me in the nuts.
Be careful what you wish for.
And Boomhauer, who's also voiced by Mike Judge. Oh, and here's a fun fact. Judge explained that Boomhauer's voice was inspired by a voice message
I wasn't sure if I wanted to do any voices on it in the beginning, and I think Greg wasn't sure if if he wanted me doing any voices either. What happened was we just kind of like, he had done some casting, and I didn't like the stuff I had heard, and so originally it was just, okay, I'll do the voice for the pencil test and see how it goes, and it just kind of fell into it.
Hey, oh, wait, man, that ain't gonna work out, man. These little gals come around here, they just that flat out no, man.
Boomhauer, the idea for the character and the voice came first. When Beavis and Butthead was a show, I got a voicemail from a guy, and he thought the name of the show was Porky's Butthole. And I don't know how you get that out of Beavis and Butthead. Well, the butt, obviously, but... And he left this long message that I just kept playing over and over again. I just loved it. It was like, he'd say, well, I've been calling y'all for about a month now, grab about y'all every time them dang old Looney Tunes come on, y'all put on them Porky's freaking old butthole. And it took me a long time to kind of figure out what, I think he was complaining that the show had too many commercials and that he didn't like the show. And at one point he said, well, I guess I'm gonna have to call FCC about shutting y'all's butt down.
Unlike many other adult sitcoms, King of the Hill was a more realistic animation sitcom. The show's creators had tried their best to maintain a more realistic approach, so much so that twice a year Greg Daniels and his writing team would take a trip to Texas in order to absorb some of their atmosphere, while also taking notes of the Texan environment.
I wanted to figure out his vision for the show and also see what he was observing. With that kind of observational humor, you got to find out what is actually being observed. So he took me all around Austin and showed me all the neighborhoods that he thought Hank would live in and the different little propane dealers around that area, hypermarts and stuff like that.
This realistic approach to the series actually made it more relatable to the viewers across the US, but unfortunately Fox decided to cancel King of the Hill in the later season. King of the Hill was pretty great during the first few seasons, with pretty positive reviews, and Fox was more than happy to continue it season after season. But as the years passed, the entire storyline became a bit too repetitive and the show kind of lost its charm. And despite being a fairly successful show, with pretty great ratings in the beginning, it wasn't among the most watched television series anymore. Also, this was around the same time when Seth MacFarlane was killing it with Family Guy, that was just starting its 7th season, and its American Dad series also gained a lot of popularity. In 2008, Fox announced that King of the Hill had been canceled. Fox announced that Seth MacFarlane would be creating a Family Guy spin-off called The Cleveland Show, which would take over King of the Hill's time slot. King of the Hill was canceled because of the ratings and also because of The Cleveland Show. Considering the fact that The Cleveland Show flopped, maybe Fox would have been better off without canceling King of the Hill. This is considered a dumb decision now, but back then Fox thought they were making a great business decision because essentially Seth MacFarlane was Fox's golden goose. At the time of this recording, Mike Judge is currently working on a reboot to Beavis and Butthead. Greg Daniels has created a series on Netflix called Space Force. At the time of this recording, the series just had been renewed for a 2nd season. Kathy Najimy, the voice of Peggy, is reprising her role as Mary Sanderson in Hocus Pocus 2 for Disney+. Pamela Adline, the voice of Bobby, is voicing the character named Regina in a series called Devil May Care. Johnny Harwood, the voice of Dale Gribble, actually has a YouTube channel. It looks like he performs original music and also does skits with the Rusty Shackelford character. Funny enough, in 2009, he got into a meme internet beef with Monkey Jones and eventually did an interview with him, which was really funny.
You have a straight, photogenic, long, perfectly formed penis? Then keep eating everything because this thing is magnificent. No, feel the texture.
My penis is too short to have any curve in it, so yes, it is perfectly straight.
This is the most surreal moment.
He also discussed in that interview that he wanted to do a Dale Gribble spinoff, but nothing came of it. Stephen Root, the voice of Bill, is lending his voice as Cringer in the Master of the Universe miniseries. During the interview with comicbook.com, Mike Judge and Greg Daniels did discuss new ideas for a reboot of King of the Hill, but unfortunately Fox wasn't interested. But with shows like Animaniacs and Clone High coming back, anything seems possible.
Propane.